Want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Hey everybody, it's Matt from Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews, and it is the first of the month, which means it is time for my TBR, my to be read list for the month. It's coming into March and I'm really looking forward. I have a lot of books that I'm planning on getting through this month, so let's get right into it. The first book that I will be finishing up is going to be The Grey Bastards. This is part of the Lotland series by Jonathan French. I'm currently listening to this on audio, and I should be done soon. It's taken me a long time. I kind of thought I'd be done by now, but I am not listening to as much audio as I used to. I'm reading way more physical book because my commute has been like dramatically cut with the new job that I have, and that's where most of my listening comes in. But yeah, so I should be finished with this tomorrow. This was 432 pages, 154,000 words. And I am predicting, and it's kind of cheating to say what my prediction is going to be when I'm about a day done from finishing this thing, but I'm going to predict that I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. I don't want to go into too much about what I like or don't like about this book because I'll save that for my review that should be coming out in a couple days. But I will just say that this has been a dark tale. This is a book about a mercenary company. I don't know if like mercenary is the right word, but of like half orcs. It's got really fun world building and a really interesting plot in this really dark world. I was not digging the book a ton around the middle point, but this last kind of tail end of the book has really picked things up for me. It made me appreciate this book a lot more. The next book is the book that I'm currently physically reading, and that is the 11th cycle. This is part of Mistland by Kian Ardalan. I hope I'm saying that right. Sorry, Kian, if I got it wrong. Maybe I'm saying Kian wrong. But I should finish this up around March 6th, maybe a little bit earlier, quite frankly, because I am flying through this book. It is 804 pages, sitting at about 235,000 words, and I'm going to predict that I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5. I love this book. This is so good. I got a recommendation actually from somebody on my YouTube channel when I was talking about the fact that I like darker fantasies, and somebody said, you really need to check out the 11th cycle. It just came out. It's like this darker feel to it. It's advertised as being kind of like a Dark Souls kind of theme, which it's not. It's not that dark. But I love it. It's got, more than anything, I love the character work here. It's incredible. I love, basically everything that I've read about this. I'm about a third of the way through it, but I love it. I don't know Kian very well at all. I don't know if this is his first book or he has other books out. Very nice guy though. I reached out to him and asked him if I could get a review copy of the book, and within minutes he sent me back and he shot me over. Like he was willing to send me the physical book, but I felt bad about having somebody send me something that I asked for that's going to cost them a decent amount of money, so I said no, send me the ebook. And so yeah, I'm loving it. I can't wait to talk to you about it on like the 7th when that review should come out, because yeah, this is extremely well done. The next book that I will be reading is Snuff. This is part of Discworld by Terry Pratchett. I'll be reading this in physical book form. I should finish this up around March 9th. This is 480 pages at 99,000 words, just about 100,000. And I'm going to predict 3 out of 5. This is a low prediction for me. I almost always predict that I'm going to give 4 out of 5s for Discworld books, because that's about the average of what I think of the average Discworld book. But I've heard from a lot of people that this is where the series starts to go downhill. Terry Pratchett was ill. I think he had dementia. I could be wrong about that. But he had some illness that was plaguing him towards the end of his life. And this is a book where it really showed. I wasn't planning on reading it. I thought that I was going to be done with my Discworld journey. I was going to end it while it was hot. And there's a couple more books to go. And I think the last one is Raising Steam. But Alan from the Library of Alexandria, I was on a stream with him, and he told me that I have to read this, that it's very good, that there's some differences here, but that overall it's very good. So I decided to pick it up, but I think I'm going to be done here. I don't think I'm going to be reading Raising Steam. I've heard kind of universally bad things about that one. And yeah, so this will be the end of my Discworld journey. I've read them all in consecutive order. That's not even the order that I would suggest you read them in, unless you're weirdly OCD like me. But you should start with Guards. That's a great starting point. But yeah, I've been going through this for well over a year now, and I'm excited to finally be at the end. Kind of bittersweet, because I've really enjoyed my Discworld adventure. Next up will be Black Sun. This is part of Between Earth and Sky by Rebecca Roanhorse. I'll be doing this on audiobook. Should finish this up about March 9th. And this is 464 pages, 118,000 words. Now I'm going to predict a 4 out of 5. And I wish I could talk more about this, but I literally know nothing other than what the cover art looks like. I have kept myself completely insulated from this. This book rides this very interesting middle ground where if a book's super popular, I'll know about it because people will tell me about it without me asking. And if it's super unpopular, then I won't really know about it. But this one rides that middle ground where I've heard a lot about it, about that it's good, but nobody's like come out and talked to me about it. So I've said, look, I know I'm going to read this eventually. Let me stay far away from any spoilers. So we'll see what it's all about. I truly have literally no idea anything. I love reading books like that. I love so much going into a book more than blind. And not even know the topic of it, just know that I'm interested in reading it because so many people say good things about it. The next that I will be reading is, and I'm never going to say this word right, is Makanuele Rumble. This is part of the Jekua series by Travis Riddle. This is the 3rd book in the series. This is in book format, should finish this up around March 13th. I don't know how many pages it is because it's not out yet, but I was told that it's about 150,000 words. And I'm going to predict a 4 out of 5. That's what I give these books. This is the 3rd one in the series. They're fun reads. There's nothing in depth here. They are like this Pokemon-inspired fantasy story. They're relatively short. This is by far the longest one. And yeah, it's just a fun little adventure. You don't get a ton of character work here. You don't get a ton of depth. You just get a fun Pokemon story. And sometimes that's what I'm looking for. I like Pokemon. I'm not like obsessed, but I watched the show when it first came out when I was in grade school. I played the first couple games when they came out. And I've always kind of thought very positively of the franchise. So to have a book come out that uses a lot of those concepts in inventive ways, it's fun. These books are highly underrated and under-reviewed. I don't know that there's another reviewer out there that's actually reviewed these books, but I heard about it on Reddit, and I reached out to Travis Riddle, and he sent me a first copy of the book, and ever since then, he's very kindly reached out to me when a book's coming out, which is about every 6 months, and sends me a copy of it and asks me if I'd review it, which I'm happy to because these are really fun books. And he's the only author that I've actually interviewed. That was a long time ago, and I don't know if I'm going to get back into doing the author interviews for various reasons, but I'm kind of shy about it, and I don't really want to compromise my authenticity to you all by, I feel like if I was to sit down and interview somebody, it might jeopardize my unbiased opinion on their books. It hasn't done so with Travis Riddle, but also he's, a very small author, and maybe I'd be more intimidated by a bigger author. I don't know, but I kind of prefer to keep the reviewing away from the authors, and that's kind of the relationship that I think that I want to have. I respect the booktubers that want to have a close relationship with authors, just not my style, not what I'm going for here. The next book I will be reading is Magician Apprentice. This is part of the Riftwar Saga by Raymond E. Feist. I will be reading this in book format. Should finish this up around March 18th. This is 509 pages and 128,000 words. And I'm going to go low here. I'm going to predict a 3 out of 5. This is a Patreon pick. One of my Patreons put this in the big spinny wheel that I have, and this is the one that won. But I'm worried about this book. And I don't know that I should be, but I am. I did a series recently where I went over my top books based on you all. I put a poll out and you all responded. Thank you. And maybe not all of you, but tons of people responded, and they ranked their favorite books, and I talked about them and where I ranked them. And it ended up being the top 34 books. And one of the higher rated ones was the Riftwar Saga. And in that video, the only thing that I remembered about it was that it was a YA story. And when I made that, I got at least 10 or 15 comments on that YouTube video that said, this is not YA. How could you call this YA? But then I go to the Goodreads page and it says YA. So I don't know what to believe. I feel like it was YA before there was a YA genre. And this was kind of what all fantasy was. But I like to look at things in modern lenses. I always have, and I always will. And so I think it's a YA story, and I'm worried because I generally, not always, but I generally don't love YA stories. And, I've had some bad interactions with books that are kind of been written that are older in the 80s. My most recent one was Memory, Sorrow, Thorn, which I hated. But I have read some wonderful 80s books. I like Discworld. A lot of Discworld books came out in the 80s. I love The Black Company. Some of those books came out in the 80s. But we'll see. But again, I don't know anything about this. Other than also, I know the series is very long. The books are pretty short, but there's a ton of books out there. So hopefully I dig it, and then I have a ton of more books that I want to read. That's always a wonderful feeling when all of a sudden your TBR explodes, because I love having books that I love to read. Then the next book that I will be reading is The True Bastards. This is the second book in the Lotlands by Jonathan French. I'll be doing audio again. Should finish this up about March 20th. This is 592 pages and 173,000 words. And I'm going to guess a 4 out of 5. I mean, I'm probably going to give the first one a 4 out of 5. Look, I'm going to have to give the second one a prediction of 4 out of 5, right? What else can I do? Then I'll be doing Empire of Silence. This is part of the Sun Eater series by Christopher Ruocchio. Don't know how to say it. I want to say Rufio because of Peter Pan, or Pan, whatever that movie was with Robin Williams. And I am going to be reading this in book format. Should finish this up March 25th. This is 768 pages, coming in at 237,000 words, so pretty long. And I'm going to guess a 5 out of 5. So why am I guessing a 5 out of 5 when I don't know anything about this book? Well, I'll tell you. My buddy Ben over at Books with 𝐒𝐤𝐥 Khan won't stop talking about how awesome this book is. And generally that guy is right. I line up more with his views than any other fantasy booktuber. So when he tells me a book is awesome, look, I'm going to read it. And, we'll see. So I hope that my track record of agreeing with Ben continues on going forward. Then the last book that I'll be reading this month is 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City. This is part of the Siege series by K.J. Parker. This will be my first K.J. Parker book. I'll be doing audiobook here. Should finish this up around March 28th. This is rather short. This is 384 pages and 123,000 words. And I'm going to guess 5 out of 5. I don't know a ton about this book, but I do know there's a lot of political intrigue. I like the basic premise here of a siege and what happens during one. I've always been fascinated by that, especially the defender side of things. From a historical perspective, I love reading stories about these events. The Black Company, one of the Black Company books is all about that. And it's one of my favorite Black Company books. So yeah, I think this is going to be very different, and I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I find a new author that I'm really into. So for this month, the average page length for a book is 572 pages, and that's a little higher than my lifetime average of 511. The average words is 158,000, which is a little bit less than my lifetime average at 165, which is strange. Then my predictive score is going to be 4.13, with my lifetime average being 3.97. So I hope I'm right. I hope I get another wonderful month, because the month of February was wonderful when it came to me liking the books that were in front of me. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Don't have much more to say, but thank you so much for watching, and as always, happy reading to you. Thanks again to all of my patrons, with a special shout out to my Ascendant tier patrons, CJ, Danute, Jamie, My Book is Lit, Romeo Mike, Ron Reich, Russell, and Sky.